This podcast and any written materials related to it represent the opinions of Lisa Kays and Paula D. Atkinson, and our guests to the show and any written materials. The content here should not be taken as medical advice. It is for informational and educational purposes only, and because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions. In no way does listening, reading, emailing, or interacting on social media with our content establish a doctor-patient relationship. Hi.
Hi. I am Paula D. Atkinson.
I'm Lisa Kays.
And we're listening.
We don't know what we're doing today.
No, I know. We're a little off today. It was a full moon in Scorpio yesterday, and the energy has been very weird. I know that we are recording What If Nothing's Wrong With You, episode 7. I do know that's happening.
Okay, great. I'm oriented now to person, place, and time.
Okay, here we are. Taylor Swift came out with 47 albums this weekend.
I call it, Paula, I call it infinity songs. She came out. Time will end before I am done listening. And the rumor has it there will be a third. So it's now just infinity. It may never end. It may just never end.
I don't understand. I don't even know what question to ask. How many songs are there?
I can't count them, but they're infinity songs. It's just infinity. It just
goes on forever.
It just goes on and on forever. There's no way, no one has time. And
right.
She just keeps writing them. And it does activate that part of me that's like, girl, sit down. And then I'm like, hold on. She is allowed to do whatever she wants with her time. I don't like it when people do that to me.
Right.
But I am like, is there a sound studio on the plane? When is this happening?
That's my thought. I was like, wasn't she touring daily for a year or something?
I'm convinced now her plane has a recording studio
in it.
Bananas.
Wow.
She's dating somebody. She did a tour. She wrote infinity songs, and then she recorded them and sang them while keeping the other songs memorized.
That's a lot of lyrics to keep in your head. I always wonder about that. Well, I wondered about that with Beyonce. Like, how do you remember all these songs? I don't know.
Do they have teleprompters? Maybe I don't know. I have many questions about the technicalities of all of this.
I don't think Beyonce does. How's Beyonce reading that teleprompter while she's dancing like that? That is impossible.
Okay, fair. Taylor Swift could be.
Swift could be.
But I don't think they are. I think they're in their brains. Anyway, how she finds the time to write infinity songs, we don't know.
31 songs. Nemeka just looked it up. 31 songs in just these past 2 albums?
Yeah, we are alluding to more.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't know how to read the eggs, so I read the comments under the eggs of the people who know how to read the Easter eggs she leaves, and that is what they are saying.
Is this
I don't speak Taylor Swift, but a lot of people do. And I have a friend, I got a text chat a mile long that my husband and 2 lesbians are on. There's like a lot happening. They speak Taylor Swift. I don't understand.
It's a lot of work. I don't know if I want to work that hard to listen to an album. You know what I mean?
It's a lot of work. And you can't do it if you're attached. Like, so I do it now when I'm with my son who's like insisting, but he's also into the Beyonce album. So
Thank God.
I got him into the Beyonce album. So even he's a little torn. Like we were painting last night and he started humming. And I was like, oh, are you humming Beyonce? Is that what's happening?
Good job, Lisa. Well done. Great parenting.
God's work out here.
Thank God.
But it's very hard if you're completely obsessed with Cowboy Carter to work this in. It's like
that's the thing is like, I don't hate Taylor. I wouldn't mind trying it, but like I am fully devoted. My time is fully devoted to Beyonce still. It's only been a month.
You 2 songs. I've been like, these songs you might hate the least. And you're like, no, I cannot make time for this.
I don't have time for that. I'm literally doing found poetry with every song of the Cowboy Carter. My friend Michelle. Hi, Michelle. I love you. Michelle and I are doing found poetry with the Beyonce album still. We're still fully invested. I don't have time. I don't have time. And it just feels like a lot of work. I think the other part is that it seems like when it's like a supply and demand thing. If Taylor's just going to keep putting out songs, do I really need to listen to this one? Or can I just fast forward until for a year from now when there's 17 more albums?
I don't have the answers. I don't
Okay.
have the answers. Yeah, I have no answers about any of this. I
Yeah.
wish they were more spaced out. We also have the new Ariana Grande in our house that's in the
Wow.
rotation. It's a lot.
That's
Yeah.
a
It's a
lot.
lot.
It sort of feels, so this is the way I used to feel about Drag Race. There's so many Drag Race spinoffs. So this is my question to you, because I kind of felt like I was in an abusive relationship with RuPaul for a little while, because I was like,
Mhm.
Mama, I am trying, but I have a job. Like, I am really trying. But then I had to let it go, because I was like, RuPaul I don't need to prove to Mama Ru. Right? I have nothing to prove to her. She doesn't know me. Like, I'm allowed to not watch every single spinoff. I'm not watching Drag Race España. I'm not watching that. Yeah. So that's how I was feeling. That reminds me of that.
Yes, I think it can have, and I like that we're talking about this well on the episode where we're going to talk about art.
Art
Because
and
for
play,
me, for me, music, if it's like music with words, I have to be able to find some like meaning for myself
Yeah.
in the words. Like,
Yeah.
so I like Taylor Swift songs. The ones I kind of fast forward the boy broke up with me and I'm sad songs. That's just not where I am.
Wait, there's other songs besides?
There are other songs.
Oh,
There's
okay.
like I'm the Man, Mad
Oh,
Woman.
I like
Those
that one.
are like socially relevant. You need to calm down.
Yeah.
Those are like, I can find, those are my like, there's one about the witching. Like I'm a witch.
That
I
I'm
mean,
into. Sure.
I can feel that. This album, and this is where I'm wondering if I am in an abusive relationship with Taylor Swift. And I reserve the right to change my opinion, because her music it's like a little drug, and it somehow like I'm even like, I'm not
Yes.
into this. And then I'm falling asleep and I'm like, so long, London. I mean, it's like in there. So I may change my mind, but to me, it all sounds the same.
Yeah.
Like there's no, and I'm like, are we learning from the dating? Are we
Right.
growing? But then I started thinking, Lisa, there has to be something wrong with you. Because A, everyone else is loving this. And B, I'm like, she's very smart. She's a billionaire. She knows what she's doing. And then I was like, oh my God, I am in a relationship with an abusive person. Or I'm doing to myself what keeps people in those relationships. Because I'm assuming maybe this just isn't great music. Maybe she needed an editor. Maybe, but then I was talking to my friend and I'm like, well, it does seem like her lens is a little more on like, what's wrong with me that I'm doing this to myself? So then I'm like, maybe she is growing. Maybe there is something here. There is a song about high functioning depression that hits, because I myself know something about that. I enjoy that one.
Who doesn't in the United States of America in 2024? Yeah.
But are we getting to the point where we cannot question Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
That is a problematic place to be. I don't know, because I don't understand music. I don't know how it's supposed to be judged.
Yeah. She can put out all the albums she wants, right? I told you my cute little hairdresser said, which I loved, which was like, I am all for women who metabolize their relationship pain through song. I could not be more on board with that. It's just Taylor's variation of that doesn't resonate with me. And I was like, that is such a good way to say it, because it's Joni Mitchell, Brandi Carlile, like Lana Del Rey, the Indigo Girl. Like, please express your relationship pain through song. It's So that I was like, oh, I like the way you said that, because I didn't want to. I don't want to be a hater, because I'm not a hater, and I want her to put out as many albums as she wants. She may want to edit a little bit. She may want to edit a little bit.
Yeah.
Or may not.
That's my first take.
Yeah.
I will be listening, because I have the 8-year-old. I will be listening to this on repeat ad infinitum
1,000 times.
after 2 months. May I have changed my take? Will I have discovered something? Will I have been brainwashed? We don't know. We don't know what happens to people when they listen to this.
I think we're finding out what a whole generation of white girls, what is going to happen. I think we're all in this social experiment together.
When I got to that moment, I was like, oh, this is interesting. I've made Taylor Swift someone I cannot question. Like, That is not great.
That is not
We're in
great.
that place relationally of something must be wrong with me. I don't
Because
like
they're
this.
perfect, right?
That's a little flat. We want to just pay attention to that.
I was like that with Joanne, with Lady Gaga when Joanne came out, because I was like, this doesn't resonate with you, but I was like, I have to love it because she is my queen. And then I was like, I think I can not love. And now I actually do love that album. But yeah, I loved art pop and nobody loved art pop. So yeah, it happens.
We don't know. Is it
art pop is amazing.
Art pop forever.
One of the best albums ever. I'm sorry.
Art pop forever. And I loved it when it came out.
But this is great because it's all about. That's what we're going to talk about. Is how
that's what
art
we're going
is
to talk
subjective.
about.
There's no right, wrong.
Exactly.
Right. But it's
yes.
an experience. We're all having a Taylor Swift Infinity Songs experience right now, whether you're listening to it or not.
Yeah,
you're listening to everyone talk about it.
I'm in it. I didn't mean to be, but I am in it. Yeah. Wait, you said you had a Jolene epiphany.
Is it an epiphany? Is this what everyone's thinking? I don't know. But I'm driving in the car today and I'm listening to the Dolly Parton lead-in.
Yes.
For the, 12,000. And the 12,000 times I listened to it, I was like, okay, this means this. And then on time 12,001.
Yeah.
So when she talks about at the end, but it hurts just the same.
Yeah.
Right? When Dolly says it, what do you think she means?
When Dolly says it hurts just the same.
When Dolly says like
Becky
they have different hair, but it hurts just
the same.
What do you think she means?
I thought she meant it hurts just the same for your man to be interested in someone else. The jealousy hurts.
I thought 12,000 times. Nameka, what did you think?
I'm not sure.
Nameka's like, I didn't think about it.
I didn't think about it that hard.
On time 12,001, I thought, what if she means when you pull it?
When you pull the hair?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Jolene is a little more aggressive, which brings Dolly into the aggression, which is not how we think of Dolly Parton.
Oh.
Right.
Now, I could just be making I don't know where this came from.
No, but I love
was like, did we just bring Dolly into
Beyonce's version of Jolene?
It's just the same.
Yeah.
Oh, love. I love that specifically because all of the white people who have complained about Beyonce's version are like, it's so aggressive. And so I like that because it's like, maybe Beyonce is saying things Dolly didn't feel like she could say when she wrote the song in the 50s, right?
Right.
Maybe Dolly did want to pull.
I mean, whenever, and that's, I think, what I was thinking about before.
Love.
But when you listen to Dolly's Jolene, there's always been a part of me that's like, girl, like, tell her to, like, where is the aggression? It's so like, and that I've definitely always been like, I do love this song. I will, and
it's a perfect song.
Why are we begging?
Yeah.
So maybe we all feel a little of that aggression and now we're all naming it. And Beyonce got Dolly to name it. I don't know. That's my fantasy. It's out there. That's my thought.
I love the story you're telling yourself. Yeah, I love this. That's great. That is great. Yeah. And then there's the whole like, actually Dolly's in love with Jolene. Did you ever hear that? That was in Dolly Parton's America, that it's all a lesbian love song and that actually Dolly's in love with Jolene because she's talking about how gorgeous she is. And she's like, please don't take, I love that version too.
And I listened to it after I heard that and I still don't, but we're always trying to make Taylor Swift a lesbian too.
That's true.
It has nothing to do with this conversation because we're talking about Beyonce, but see, it's in my brain.
It's in there. Yeah.
Anyway, never mind.
But then I always say like all artists are gay. Like nobody's,
Nice.
and everybody, and as you know, everybody's gay and everybody's hot. So yeah. Great. I love all that.
So great. And they're all just woven in my brain together.
Yeah.
I cannot separate them.
I know, as much as we try. So I wanted to talk about Busy Phillips. She was on an episode of the Love It or Leave It podcast. And do you watch Girls Five Eva? Have you tried to watch that?
Me?
Yeah, and either anybody.
I've seen the trailer for it. No, I take that back. I think I watched the first episode. I think it was on Hulu or something, and then I just never came back to it.
So Busy Phillips is on it. I want to love it because I love Paula Pell so much. If you don't know who Paula Pell is, if you name your favorite SNL skit from 1997 to like 2017, Paula Pell either wrote it or was involved in writing it. She did the Spartan cheerleaders. She is
Okay.
so funny. She's the tiny gray-haired lesbian that was in some of the Tina Fey movies. She's so hysterical. And she's in Girls Five Eva, and she plays a lesbian who is in a all girls pop troupe and then becomes a lesbian dentist. It's so funny. Anyway, so they have a new season of Girls Five Eva, which it has the same vibration as 30 Rock. Like there's like so many quick, funny throwaway lines, which I think is Paula Pell. So Busy is on it. She's funny on it. She plays the dumb one. But she was on Love It or Leave It talking about that. And John Lovett, who is very cute, brought up Ozempic and was like, what do you think about blah, blah, blah. And way Busy reacted to it. I had a lot of feelings. And so that's what I'm going to talk about. So she basically was like, give me the Ozempic. Go ahead, give it to me. We didn't invent all this. We didn't invent the idea that you are less fuckable if you have body fat on you. We didn't do any of it. And then she goes off on the fact that like the men in Hollywood have been taking HGH forever and nobody has ever said anything about it. That like men over 40 do not look like Hugh Jackman. That is not
wondering. I'm like, what? For Paula, for those of us who do not know, what is HGH?
It is called.
And
right.
Thank you, because I have been like, I mean, the women in Hollywood too, but like, especially
nobody looks like that.
Really?
Yeah,
not a pound.
So men especially men over 45, your body doesn't look like that in nature. That is not what happens. So they take human growth hormone, which is HGH, which is basically like a shit ton of testosterone and all of the stuff that makes your muscles grow. You like inject it into your butt. And that's what makes your muscles grow like that. And that's what makes you have very little body fat. Also, I need everyone to know, if you listen to my other podcasts, you already know this. When your muscles stick out like that, it's because you are insanely dehydrated. Nobody just looks like that. So when you can see somebody's ab muscles, that's because they have zero water in their system. They have not had a drink of water in like 48 hours. So this, again, like none of this happens in it. The reason why you don't see anybody that looks like that is because, like when you go to Target, is because no one looks like that unless they are on all of these meds or they are deeply dehydrating themselves or they've only eaten chicken breast and broccoli and no water and no salt for years. So I appreciate.
Sound very fun.
No, it's not fun at all. And as I always say, that is all for other people's experience of you. And that is not fun for your experience of actually living in a body. So burn it all down. So I appreciate what Busy said, because she was like, and her point was, when women start taking something that makes their body, like Jessica Simpson and Kelly Clarkson and all the Kardashians and all the Kardashian adjacent people, when they start taking it, everybody is like, oh my God, you can't do that. Or everybody's up in arms. And she's like, fuck all of you. Like the men in Hollywood have been taking meds forever to look the way they do. We get to do it too.
But we're supposed to do it naturally, Paula.
I know. Well, and this
we're
is
supposed
the thing.
to do it naturally.
Right. And whatever the hell that even means, because naturally I look like this. This is what I look like naturally. Yeah. So I appreciate this. And it made me happy because it aligned more with the work I do, which is body liberation. And in body liberation, everybody's allowed to do with their body whatever the fuck they want. Also in body liberation, we are always talking about the system of fat phobia, thin supremacy, white supremacy, thin idealism, etc. We're not talking about the individual, right? Because that's the whole thing, is if your body doesn't look good, that's an individual failure, rather than looking at the history of fat phobia. I think the thing that people were getting upset about, like, how dare she say that, was that there is this idea, again, like you just said, that you have to do it naturally, which I just want to make sure that everyone knows. And Aubrey Gordon said this first on the maintenance phase episode about Ozempic, that is another form of fat phobia, right? That like your body is the wrong shape. And that is an indication of your inferior value as a human being and your lack of moral character. And if you take the easy way out, by taking Ozempic that is more. So it's like, it's all this catch-22. You're fucked if you do, you're fucked if you don't. Also, most people who take Ozempic, if they are fat, if they are quote unquote obese, which is not something I believe in, you only lose like 10% of your body. You're still probably going to be fat. So it's like, it's all a catch-22. None of it's real. And I liked that Busy Phillips said the thing and she said it all out loud. And she is a person who's in Hollywood, who has lived it, who's been in Hollywood since Dawson's Creek. So that's I don't know how long ago, 40 years ago. I don't know. Yeah. Right. And so I really appreciated that she didn't skirt it around. She got really angry. I like the clip of it a lot. Mm-hmm. She's like, give me the Ozempic, fuck it up. She got really upset, which I appreciate that side of her. I feel like she's very, she's not polished, shall we say. Mm-hmm. And so I liked it. She got a lot of flack, but I think she got a lot of flack because of everybody's internalized fat phobia was giving her a lot of flack of like, how dare you say it that way? But like, I have lots of clients who are on Ozempic and I support them because they're allowed to do whatever they want. And people live in this culture.
What were people mad about? I still don't get it. They're mad.
People were mad that she's saying, let people take Ozempic. Because this whole catch-22 in capitalism.
It's been created by a multi-million-dollar company and marketed and thrown at all of us.
Right.
Like, is that because of the like drug shortage for the people who actually need it? It's like,
I doubt it.
Me. It seems like such an irrational, like, we're just going to be mad at this individual woman who is literally saying what the entire system is doing and making money off of. And she's just like, yeah, that's the reality. Sure, let's do it.
Yeah.
Like, we're mad at her?
Well, because it's really easy to be like, oh my God, how dare Kelly Clarkson take Ozempic and also not admit that she's on Ozempic. Number one, Kelly Clarkson doesn't owe you shit. Number two, Kelly Clarkson's allowed to do whatever she wants with her body.
We're supposed to scold the women for their choices.
Exactly.
And she said, I'm not going to scold anyone for their choices. Do whatever the hell you want.
Exactly.
And that was upsetting. The woman said that.
Exactly. Well, and that she didn't say, oh, I prefer to work out for 2 hours a day or whatever, or whatever we're supposed to say if we're good women who keep our bodies the right size. Right.
Which I also love because I was also thinking about how if you're in a big body, that's bad.
Right.
You have to exercise and do everything you're supposed to do to get yourself into a smaller body. But if the body becomes too small, then we're going to be like, well, for goodness sake, you have an eating disorder. What's wrong with you?
Absolutely.
So it's like, so there's a way that we're supposed to effortlessly magically maintain this magical weight that literally no one can maintain, but also we have to do it with effort. Because if we're doing it the easy way, that's also bad.
And not too much effort. Because if you're a fat person, what is prescribed to you is an eating disorder. What is prescribed to you is starvation. If that starvation works and then your body isn't fuckable the other way, then how dare you do the thing that the doctor told you to do, which was starvation?
It seems
like we can't win.
I just feel like we just entered the Barbie. Like we got on the bike and the boat and we just went in the Barbie movie.
Right. And
am I in the Barbie movie?
We're in Venice Beach. We're riding our rollerblades. I love the part where Barbie's like, I feel uncomfortable and I can't tell why. And Ken's like, yeah, they're looking at us, but not in an aggressive way. And she's like, oh no, I feel an aggression. Exactly. So I appreciate Busy Phillips just laying it all out, especially the part about the HGH, because I feel like nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about the fact that
I didn't know about that. I mean, I didn't even know I know what human growth hormone is, but I didn't know men in Hollywood were taking. I thought that was a sports thing that we all stopped doing like 50 years ago when we realized it was killing everyone.
Once the superhero movie started, every man was on that. Once they saw Hugh Jackman, once they saw Chris Evans, bodies, everyone wanted to look like that.
Is that the one that makes people aggressive and angry because of the testosterone?
Steroids.
Does it make
that's
people's
steroids.
mood?
Yeah.
Okay, that's different. So it doesn't affect like mood or anything.
I'm sure it does. I mean, it's hormones, so of course it does.
Because Kumail Nanjiani, his body totally changed. Like he looks, even his face looks different now.
So weird, yeah.
And he was on this podcast and he was talking about his depression after Eternals.
Eternals, yeah.
That bombed big time, and he was he got depressed, and I'm sure part of it was
That he was on the HGH.
he was on that, yeah,
starving himself.
Yeah,
starving
I'm
himself,
thinking
exactly, and didn't
It's
get
gotta be
anything
like
out of it.
messing with their brains, and then we probably go, "Oh, these men are such jerks," and it's like, well,
And they all talk about how their wives are not more attracted to them because they're not fun to be around because they're fucking starving.
yeah.
So like
Miserable.
miserable to be around. Chris Pratt talked about that he felt like it was part of his breakup with Anna Faris because he was like he was Andy Dwyer, hot,
Right.
so hot, and then he became what's his butt from the Jurassic Park. He's chasing dinosaurs and he looks ripped, but it seems like he was terrible to be around. And then he just got more Jesus-y and it just got weird.
Yeah.
And now he's married to a Schwarzenegger.
The
Lisa, you are
hormone-
learning stuff.
I'm wondering about the pipeline. I'm like, could there be a pipeline between human growth hormone to Christian to like super Jesus-y Christianity restriction,
Right?
which is like super. Now I'm like, ooh, what's that pipe? I just went into.
Oh
the pipeline.
yeah, there's a very
Wondering about
deep
that.
connection between piousness and puritanical and religious and white supremacy and starvation and eating disorders. Oh yeah, we talk about that in my class. Absolutely. Yeah. There's actually a book that came out in the 60s that called Help, The Devil Wants Me Fat. All about how you can pray. And like I prayed myself thin. There's all these books that came out in the 60s about
when we
like,
think about women and power in those churches, I'm like, oh, that's why they wanted everybody thin, because then you can just wow.
Yeah, so many of the cults, they starve the people because you can't think straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can mind control them then.
Exactly.
This is a lot. We're not even to the actual episode.
I know. We're just still chit-chatting. All right, let's get into it. Today we're talking about art and creation and creating and creativity and play and all of the things that are the opposite of insanity, basically. Because it's true. The opposite of depression and anxiety is not happiness, it's expression. And so when you can express yourself, you can't, right? Kids are not insane until they stop expressing themselves. So expression is the opposite of insanity.
Do you know how I learned it actually? The improv saying, which is sort of interestingly the opposite, but I think they're probably both true, is listening is the enemy of anxiety.
I love that.
Because when your brain is deeply listening, which is what improvisers have to do, we like deeply listen to everything, like body, like vision, everything.
Yeah.
Your brain cannot be socially anxious or in that spin about, am I going to say the right thing? Am I going to do the right thing? Like the anxious part of your brain cannot listen, which is why anxious people don't hear anything. They're like they miss things. Right. When we're anxious, like we can't take in information.
Right.
So it's not just the expressing, like you're saying, which is also true, but it's also we cannot take in other people. We cannot take in information we need. We cannot take in data. We cannot take in the moment if we are anxious. And listening cures anxiety. If you want to cure social anxiety, listen super intently to whoever you're talking to.
It's all the same. I'm thinking of it vibrationally, obviously, right? Expressing yourself from an authentic place, having fun, play, listening, pay attention to the moment. These are all the opposite of anxiety and depression.
Not caring about the outcome, not caring about if it's good enough. It's also the opposite of white supremacy culture, which
is
like not caring about the right way,
right?
Like letting go of all of it and just being like, it will be what it will be.
Because Amy Poehler says you can't have fun and look stupid at the same time, which is basically the same thing. You can't have fun and be anxious at the same time.
No.
Yeah. Love.
It's like you can't have fun and be starving at the same time.
Either. No, I mean, you can't be starving and have fun. No, you can't be starving and starving.
Not just chart.
Yes, these are the things that are
fun. Other things.
Also. If you notice, everything that we're going to talk about today will be the opposite of white supremacy, because white supremacy is actually the thing that is making us all depressed and anxious and insane and miserable. So, yeah, absolutely. So 2 things. Some of you may not know, Lisa and I are both improv nerds. I don't know when you started. I started improv in junior high. My mom, I was like a awkward, very I had a lot of energy, as you may not may have guessed. And my mom put me in theater classes, and it was me and all the gay kids, and we were doing improv, and we would do improv games. And so I started doing improv way back. And then I did it all through school. And I was the only girl in my improv troupe in college. And the name of our improv troupe was Rubber Chicken. And then in San Francisco State. And then we did it. Then I was a member of the Quitters, which was an all-female troupe in Washington, D.C. for a while. And
You're
Lisa
more of an
is
expert than me.
I
I've
don't
been doing
think
it way longer. I didn't start doing it until I was an adult, probably
Oh,
around
really?
when you were in the Quitters. Yeah.
Oh, wait, I
Um,
thought you did it way longer.
No,
Oh.
I ran a marathon after Peace Corps and then was like, I need something else to do. Meet people.
Talk
To
about
like
the
meet
opposite of fun.
people.
Yeah.
And I was like, marathons are hard. Maybe not that anymore. And my friend Topher, who was at that point in charge of
Yay.
WIT, said you should take an improv class. And I thought it was going to be I didn't even know what improv was. I thought
Wow.
it was going to be like stand up, but I was like, I said to him, I was like, because I was still like, I was deeply perfectionistic. I said, do you swear I won't be the worst one in the class? Which is a ridiculous question to ask about improv. And he just laughed and was like, I promise. And I signed up, and that was it. It was probably 2006, 7, maybe 8 even.
Yeah.
Because I started my MSW in 2009 and I was already an improviser then, but not for very long.
I love all that. Can you explain to the listeners about what you've done with improv and therapy and psychotherapy and etc.? Take it away.
So, yes, let me see how to do this in a concise, not super boring way. So, I found taking an improv class to be utterly shattering. Everything I was highly perfectionistic. I was rigid. I was depressed all the time. I felt like I had to do everything right. I never took risks. I didn't want to do anything if we didn't know I was going to be good at it. I quit violin when I was young because I wasn't just automatically good at it. Like it was like, what are you talking about? You want me to just play and have fun? Like, I don't even know if I did that as a kid. Like, I was mind blown. Like it was like, I don't even understand. It was very altering. It was also the only space for our friends in DC where nobody asked what anybody did for a living.
I know. Yes.
I went through my whole 1A class before I knew that someone in that class works for Fox News.
Oh, shit.
I already liked him, so I had to keep liking him. So it just divides.
Rude.
But so I was doing the improv thing, and of course, because I am a parentified child and whatever, I was like, I obviously should start teaching this immediately because I must be able to be productive about it. It took a long time for my total deprogramming to take effect. So I became a TA and I started teaching it, and that was around when I started my MSW. And I think improv is why I started my MSW. It got me into the like, I could do a risky thing. I could like do something different kind of thing. And what I noticed was it's all the same skills. Like the therapy skills.
Yes.
I read Dan Siegel's Mindsight, and like if you look at the table of contents, it's all just improv skills.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, I am going to invent improv therapy. It's going to blow minds. I'm going to invent it. It's going to be great. So for my research paper, I was like, I'm going to do my research paper on improv, and then I'll invent it and it'll be wonderful. And so when I researched it, it was like, oh, improv is already a therapeutic tool. It was established in the literature. It was invented by social workers.
Yes.
And I was like, I guess I'm not going to invent anything. Because it was invented in the settlement houses to get children who didn't speak the same language to be able to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And to be able to play and still form relationships and still have connections. And so also invented by women, shall we note? And now suddenly everybody thinks men own it. That's a whole other podcast episode that we can put a pin
everything.
In.
Yes.
I have so much to say about that.
Yeah.
But so then I started being like, this seems like it would be helpful for therapists to know or understand or play with. So then I developed this improv for therapists class, and I did it through WIT, and then I had to stop doing it through WIT because they wanted it to be, and I love WIT in many ways, but they wanted it to be very performance based. Like their show has to be good. And I was like,
right.
I
That's
can't do what I'm doing.
Yes.
I have to be like, please, let's eliminate your anxiety, but you have to be good at it.
But the performance has to be very funny.
Yeah. I'm like, those don't go. So, so then I figured out a way to make it sound fancy for continuing education, which is legitimate. No, but it's a legitimate thing. There's research, there's whatever.
It's very good. Yeah.
And now it's very interesting because we have a friend, Allie, who runs the DC Writers Salon, which is a good thing since we're talking about art for people to know about. Lovely space for writers. Gorgeous. And she said to me a couple weeks ago, and I think I agree, she was like, how does anyone do therapy without having improv training? Like how?
Yeah.
And I just did a group workshop where somebody was like, but what do you use as like your basis? And I was like, honestly, improv training is the only way I survive as a group therapist. And it's certainly not the only, but it's what grounds me in I can handle anything.
Yes.
Anything that comes at me, no one's going to die.
Right.
And I can handle it. It may not be pretty. It may not be perfect, but something will happen and we will all survive it.
And it'll be all right. Yeah. Right.
And you need that as a therapist, especially a couples or a group therapist.
Yes.
There's moments where you're like, ooh, what are we doing here?
Oh, shit got weird. Okay. Oh, yep. Yep. Yeah. I mean, the beauty of it is, and that's why I wanted you to like introduce it, because improv is art, like improv is creativity, because it's yes, and it's just go. It's don't think. It's thinking ruins everything. It's
the basis. I was even like, you got me into painting.
Yes.
And I have never painted I was like, I don't know how to paint, but I was like, well, I guess people learn somewhere. And I Googled it and I was like, well, you do this and you do that. And but all of that was my improvisational, like, it's okay. Yeah. And if you mess up, that'll turn into something else and
right.
But that was not in me.
Right.
Or any ability to do any of that was not in me before.
We're so because it is the opposite of white supremacy. It is the opposite of capitalism. It is the opposite of patriarchal. It is opposite. It is the opposite of dominating everyone around you and competing with everyone around you. Right. And that the creation of it, the yes, and the just go with it, is true in painting. It's true in everything. And it is sanity. It is the truth. It is like the permission, the expression. So I got Lisa into painting because I've been doing training. There's a incredible woman named Montine Blank. Please look her up. She lives in Asheville, North Carolina, and she does something called intuition painting. And I went to a retreat a few weeks ago and I was like, sign me up. I'm becoming a facilitator. We're doing this. I'm all in. And I've also taught the artist way since 1999, which is totally horrifying. But the artist way is the same thing, right? It's basically in the artist way, Julia Cameron is trying to get you to trust your creative fire. She's basically curing you of white supremacist perfectionism and on competition brain. And even the part of your brain that's like, oh, I'm good at this. I should get a job at it. I should make money at it. Like even, right? I know. Even that is capitalism. Even that, you've just taken the fun out of it.
My son said it to me. My son and I started painting. We were painting together. And last night he goes, we could have a YouTube channel. And I was like, we are not. He's like, YouTube channels grow because they like to see their progress. They're bad at first. And I was like, can we just
not commodify everything?
You are 8. You have everything you need. And he's already like, I think we could do this. I think we could. I was like,
child, all your needs are met. Yeah. You're fine. It's everywhere, right? It's everywhere. So the thing I loved about intuition painting specifically, or all painting, is that what happens is you work on the same painting for like 3 or 4 days. And then at the end of the painting, it is the painting itself that you go into this altered state. It's so groovy. There's no drugs involved. And the painting talks to you, and the painting tells you what it needs. And the painting tells you, this is the next chapter of your life. You need to release this, or you need to let go of this. I have seen people talk to their dead parents through the painting. It is so California. It is so groovy. It is so fantastic. I love it so much. And so if you guys want to come to a retreat after September, you can come.
But Paula, even if we think about that,
Yeah,
it's a Gestalt chair.
exactly.
It's
Yep.
that's the
Yep.
same, any projective tool, tarot cards, any of it
Exactly.
is valid healing
Right.
material. I
And
love that.
I love it too. And I remember as I was driving back from the first retreat, I was poloing Lisa and being like, it's everything that we're talking about in the podcast because there's nothing wrong with you. And the first retreat I did, there were people who were struggling a lot with eating disorders, with lots of past trauma, with a lot of things. And the facilitator, Montine, and the thing that I'm going to do, and the thing I'm doing more in my therapy, and the thing we're talking about on this podcast is there's nothing wrong with you. All of the answers that you need are inside of you. No one outside of you has the answer. Your highest vibration, your highest self, your whatever you want to say, yourself before you were indoctrinated by white supremacist capitalist nonsense has all the answers, and it is infinitely sane, and it is at peace, and it is free, and it wants the best for you, and you can touch it, you can listen to it through art and whatever art you want. And art and play are the same vibration, like we were just talking about. Art, fun, pleasure, joy, these are all the same vibration. And those are the things that are going to bring you sanity.
So would we then say that art does that,
Yes.
and good healers are basically midwives?
Yes.
They're not giving you the truth. They're not like telling you the truth. They're midwives because they're helping get all of that crap out, all the
Yes.
programming that's keeping you from knowing
what
truth.
you know. Yeah, exactly.
Like that might be how you would find a good healer.
Yes.
It's like they're not inserting anything.
No, they don't have anything you don't
how
know.
to be who. They're just kind of being like, let's set that aside.
Yes.
What do you think or feel? What do you think or feel?
Exactly. What is the truth inside of you? Yeah, which is also good yoga, by the way. Good yoga teachers are not trying to get you to stand on your head. They are helping you, as my mom would say, they're helping you release the unnecessary. That's all yoga is the releasing of the unnecessary. And that's all good therapy is the releasing of the unnecessary. And when you're making art from that place, that improv-y place of yes and, yes and, yes and, it naturally does that. It naturally releases the unnecessary.
And since you brought up yoga, this is such a funny story. One of my coaches, and he's a very good improviser in DC. He would say to us, like, because people try to make like there's a competitive improv match called Fist, which is fun.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's fine.
It's fun.
Go have a great time at Fist.
Yeah.
But he was like, it's also weird because competitive improv, because competition again is that white supremacy. He's like, it's kind of like competitive yoga.
Yes.
Like you can we compete at something that is inherently like
right?
And it's such an interesting. It stuck with me. It's probably been 20 years since he said that to me, and I still find it to be such a fun framework when I'm getting into like, oh, I have to be better or good, or I'm like, really? Can Taylor Swift and Beyonce compete?
Just both make
really?
Yeah.
No,
well, and
it's competitive yoga. Like you can't compete in yoga.
No, there's no such thing. We have different bodies. Your body does that thing. My body does that thing. That's it. That's all. Yeah. So I would love to, I would just want to say a few statements. These are some of the things that were like floating into my brain while I was doing my intuition painting, which you paint for like hours every day, and you just have to keep painting. And it's very much like morning pages. If you've ever done morning pages with the Artist Way, like just don't let your pen leave the page. And with my paintings, I do a lot of circles because the circles keep me on the page. So when my head is like, I don't like this color, I'm really hungry, whatever, like tries to get me off the page, I'm like, I just stay on the page. And so these are some things that floated into my mind that I think are really smart and fun. Making art, I already said this, making art is the opposite of insanity. We all made art and expressed ourselves infinitely as kids. Kids are infinitely sane. Adults are insane. Absolutely. Permission, expression, and-ing, right? And how many times do I say in my sessions with clients, and, everything is and, right? These raise the vibration into flow states, which create expansion. which is when we are matching the actual energy of the universe. So this gets a little woo, but like the vibration of the universe is infinitely expanding. When we are giving ourselves permission to infinitely expand, which is making art, which is bringing everything in and letting everything go, that is sanity, because we are matching the vibration of the universe. When we are being rigid and we are saying no and we are creating rules, right? That is when we are insane, because we're not matching the energy of the universe. We're being weird.
We're not eating.
And we're not eating.
Restricting
Exactly.
anything.
Right.
Opposite of expand.
Exactly. Right. So expansion is all that exists. Anything that's not expansion is not real. So to express oneself past the censor, the critical mind, the binaries, the rules, the right and wrong, the inferior versus the superior, is to remember that there's nothing wrong with you. It is to remember that to trust the truth of my experience and to express it will always lead to sanity.
Say it again. Anything that is not expansion isn't
Not real. Yeah.
Well, now nobody needs therapy anymore.
You're welcome. No, it's true.
Just ask themselves, is this expansion or not? And if
It's
not,
yeah, right. It's like in if you've ever read the Course in Miracles. I've never read the actual book. I don't know if anybody's actually read the whole book. It's like the Bible. It's so long. But they repeat over and over, the only things that exist are love and fear. And I feel like that, to me, what I've learned to do in my body is think about something, and if it feels expansive, then it's the truth. If it feels restrictive, then it's a lie. Right?
Whoa.
Right? And then when you think about that, of course, because the universe is both infinite and expanding, which our dumb little brains could never wrap our. So if we're restricting things, we are going against all of nature. We're going against the entire universe.
So
shit just got so woo, you guys.
Okay, do you have more on your list, or can I say?
No, I'm done. Those are all mine.
So the relational corollary.
Yeah, please.
Perhaps.
Yes.
And this is not me. I have to give credit. So I do this workshop where I put the principles of white supremacy next to the principles of improv.
I've taken this workshop. Yes.
It is, if I do say so myself, pretty genius, and it works.
Pretty genius.
People can have really hard conversations if they're using. So anyway, about, racial, social justice, whatever. And in my last workshop, these two women, Sue and Anne, who have a podcast called Therapists Uncensored, which is also very good.
Great.
They were like, Lisa, everything on the improv side is healthy attachment.
Yes.
Everything on the white supremacy side is insecure, anxious, avoidant attachment.
Yep.
So we might,
scarcity.
And when you're in a relationship, if you constantly feel rigid, small, like what's the opposite of expansion? Those are all
restrictive,
the words.
constrictive rules.
Yeah, if your relationship leaves you feeling like you can expand, you can breathe, you can like eat a lot in front of the person.
You can fart. Yeah. Yeah.
That might be a sign that you are in a healthy, securely attached relationship. Whereas the other side, is because when she said that to me, I was like, "How?
It's all the
do
same
we
vibration.
Not all know this?"
Yeah.
Play is healthy, secure attachment. Like kids who need to learn things developmentally, they do it all through play because that's secure attachment. I mean, it's all
the same vibration. Right. It's like when Lisa and I go to the same psychic school, and our teacher says amusement is the highest vibration, right? Amused, laughing, happy, your freedom, expansion. Yeah.
And that's so hard. That was a hard one for me to metabolize because I really felt like you're going to tell me it's not anger. Like anger is and I have that conversation, it's like anger can make you feel pretty alive, and I was just like, amusement, really? It's not peace. It's not love.
Right.
It's amusement. I mean, I really was like, and then like a year later, I was like, I'm on board. I get it. That's right. Like I was joking around about things that I never joke about. I was like, oh, it's right. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's also, anger is a higher vibration than a lot of things, right? That anger gets us to like joy and freedom and amusement. Yeah. Because we got to get shit moving.
But amusement, you wouldn't think of it.
Yes.
Come on, it's not peace. It's not like
No.
compassion. But she's right. Anytime you're in any other of those rigid things, if you can get amused, it's like you're done. It's done.
Totally. And that's
It's
what
fun.
and that's what art is, and that's what play is. Yeah. My
Yeah.
favorite book says, instead of thinking of people dying and going to a peaceful place, why don't you think of them leaving their bodies with a gentle laugh?
Hmm.
Isn't that fun?
I like it.
Right?
And that is now how I picture people like on the other side, which whatever happens, who knows? It's a way nicer picture.
For them to be
The idea
laughing.
of like somebody's getting a life review and they're like, oh, wasn't that funny that I did that?
Right?
That was silly. I thought
Right.
that was so serious.
Right.
Silly. It's like, it's kind of nice.
It is. Oh my God, I think it's so cute, right? Just like you do when I think about things that I thought were so serious when I was 12. And now I can giggle and be like, that's so cute. Cute
If
little
only we'd known
12-year-old
to be
Paula.
like, is this expansive?
Yes, right?
If only we'd know.
I say that to clients. I'll be like, I don't know, does that thought feel expansive or restrictive? And they'll be like, oh, it feels restrictive. I'm like, that's how we know it's a lie.
I love that.
Isn't
Everyone's
that
just
fun?
had therapy. This is wonderful.
It's so easy. Okay, so we want to end on a conversation that Lisa and I have had a lot. Mostly we have because Lisa and I have both been involved in, and we talked about this in our first episode, culty therapist organizations.
Would we say restrictive?
Not
Not
that
expansive.
do not feel
Not
expansive.
expansive.
No, feel the opposite of expansive. And one thing that our culture worships, and therefore a lot of therapy worships, is the word work. And that takes a lot of work, and we got to work on ourselves, and there's so much work, and blah, blah, blah,
All
with that.
relationships are work.
Yes.
All relationships.
Oh, I've done
are
so much work on myself, and that's why I've done it. And I hate it. I reject the premise that good only comes from work. I reject that premise completely. Again, children are born infinitely sane, infinitely free, infinitely expansive. You don't have to work. It was actually work for you to constrict yourself into the weird little white supremacist box that you're in right now. That was work. To get out of it, you release the unnecessary. So wait, Lisa, tell them what you've been trying to do with the word work.
So I went to a workshop where led by a guy I really liked, Vinny Delhini, and I hope I'm saying that right. And he was like, I don't use the word work in my groups anymore. I only use play. He was very like play-based, very improvisational. I loved him. And I was like, oh. So I thought, well, I'm not going to do that either. I don't like the word either. I'm going to stop doing it either. Do you know how hard it is? Do you know how hard? I can't do it. To substitute, I was like, what words is he using? I mean, so I have been in this since like that was in October. I've been like months now observing, because this is how you have to do it. You observe how often you're saying work. And I've been trying to find different words. I'm trying it with my kids. I'm trying it in my groups, in my therapy. The word work, I feel like I probably say it 1,000 times a day. It's been disturbing.
Yeah.
To notice. And then because I do think language, I also try to not use the word but. I only say and, unless I really let myself think about is but necessary.
Yeah.
But I've eliminated, but was actually easier than work.
How
fascinating. And so I think it's a very good mental exercise for all of us to see how indoctrinated we are.
Yes.
Into productivity.
Yes.
And how often we're not saying I need to go to work.
Right.
We're saying it about like, oh, we should work on that. Oh, I mean, I say it to my kid. I'm like, oh, well, that's something we can work on. I'm like, why am I saying to an 8-year-old he needs to work on something?
Right.
Like, so it's everywhere. We hear it and say it, and it's an interesting thing to observe.
I love this.
Sad.
I'm thinking about all the Artist Way classes that I've taught, and we talk about it a lot. That Julia says work is synonymous with worth in our puritanical white supremacist culture. And I think to release it, I try to use the word play as I'm a play-based yoga teacher. I hate it when people want to like come to my class and work hard. And I'm like, no, bitch, you can't. Lay down.
You will lay down in Shavasana for 50
you will
minutes.
lay down. And I say over and over in my class, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. And I'll say it over and over. And there's one woman in one of my yoga classes. She does not like it. I can tell.
Well, that's an improv saying too.
Yes.
If you're not having fun, you're the asshole, which I have some caveats about. I don't love it, but it
Sure.
is kind of interesting to think about.
It is kind of
And it's the
interesting to think
same
about.
idea.
Yes.
It's like, yeah.
Yep. So so we would love to challenge in the most playful way with a vibration of loving curiosity, us all to try saying the word work as little as possible.
Or even just noticing how much we're saying it.
Yeah.
Work and but.
Yeah.
Switching but to and, because that's also very improv-y and artsy.
Yes.
And then
And it is
work.
and.
I think if
Everything
we
is-
could get rid of the word but and work, we probably would fix our culture.
Yes. You
Easy
might.
done.
Nobody would need therapy. And also maybe you have a therapist and maybe you can notice how often your therapist is like, yeah, we need to work on that. And maybe you want to say like, maybe I don't want to work.
Or
Maybe I
why
want
do I
allow.
need to work on that? For
Yes.
who? And for who
Yes.
do I need to work on that?
Exactly.
Who does it benefit
right.
for me
if I work
to work on that?
totally.
And if you're in a relationship and it's okay, but like, do I consent to that being a good experience for me also?
Yeah. Is this something I want to quote unquote work on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if
Please.
not, maybe you're not ready, or maybe you're not going to do it at all.
And yeah, maybe you're going to go lay down.
I always
Great.
tell people, I'm like, there's no law that says that you have to.
No.
You have to be anything we talk about in therapy. There's no law. You can be anxious. You can be whatever. There's no law. There's no law. Is this what you want? And like,
yes.
Yeah.
And I know I said this already in a different way, but I just hate so much that peace and freedom and sanity are things you have to work for. Like that is no, absolutely not. That only the people that work hard deserve peace, freedom, and sanity. That is capitalism.
What if we were to say
that is
you should
internalized
rest
capitalism?
For that.
Yeah,
You should
right.
rest for that for a while.
You could lay down for that.
Have you rested for that?
Yeah, right. No. Peace, freedom, and sanity have been taken from you. You don't have to work to get it back. You actually just have to allow it to come back. Yeah, the amount of times I say effortless in a day or let it be easy, or one of the mantras of intuition painting is try not to try, right? Yeah.
I love it. Try not to try.
Try not to try.
Try not to try. And what was the other one? Anything that is not expansive is not
a lie.
real.
Is not real. Is an illusion.
I feel like we can just end the podcast here and we don't need any further episodes.
Any more episodes? You're welcome. We
That's
just
all
healed.
you need.
We healed. We healed all your chakras. All of your ancestral trauma has all been healed today.
It's all done.
Yeah. So go paint or do
Or
chalk
rest.
drawings or rest or write a poem, write terrible poetry. I do
some found poetry about Taylor Swift's album and see if you can tell us what in the heck is going on.
Found poetry is fun. I had never done it before. My friend, again, Michelle introduced me. It's really fun. So yeah, let yourself just float around in your right brain. The left brain has ruined your entire life. So get into your right brain.
I love it.
Thanks,
Try not to
everybody.
try.
Please try not to try, but also please thumbs up or ring our bell on YouTube. Like us at Paula D. Atkinson and Lisa K. The Lisa K's.
Mm-hmm. There's some other Lisa K's. I don't know what that's about.
Who is she? I don't know her. Oh, write us some iTunes reviews. This is episode 7. So by episode 8, we will start reading some of our iTunes reviews. So if you write us one, we will read it. So write us some iTunes reviews and we'll read them on the pod. Yay! All right, everyone. Go play. See you later next time. Bye.